Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of What's Happening Now with C&I Solutions. As always, remember to like, share, and comment on this broadcast live, as there could be some information not only useful to yourself, but could be useful to others. Coming up with C&I Solutions, we do have a few events coming up next week. We have our Senior Citizens Christmas Smiles event. We'll be down at the Bob Harrison Center. Well, we will be paying honor and homage to those senior citizens who have paved the way for so many generations to come in honor of them. So if you got time and you're in the Huntsville area, come on down for that celebration. We're going to have a good time. We got some great musical guests that are going to be there. We're going to have some spoken word. So it is absolutely going to be outstanding. And then following on that, Friday the 22nd, we are doing the Christmas Toys giveaway with one of our partners here in the city. If you have signed up, please make sure you're there with your ID for the setup. We will do another live video talking about how the setup is going to be and how you can pick up those toys. All right. So tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by Hair Queen, where Hair Queen's mission goes beyond just telling beauty products. It's about empowering women and uplifting our community. They believe every woman that should feel beautiful in their own skin. All right. So tonight, ladies, gentlemen, people, children of all ages, we got someone special in the studio with us tonight, and she's going to be talking about a wealth of information, everything from financial management to record labels to housing investment. I'm telling you, this powerhouse couple, they really have their act together. So without further ado, welcome Miss Jessica Carter, the CEO, partner of the Dominionaire Wealth and Empowerment. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So without further ado, let's get right into it, because you got so much going on. Talk to us a little about the multi-facet businesses and things that you and your husband are doing.
Okay, wow. I feel like I should have brought him along, but he's on daddy duty right now. So we're trying to balance everything out. So like you said, Charles, we have numerous businesses. We own Launch Studios, located right here in Madison, Alabama, which actually kind of spun off when we initially owned A God-Driven Destiny, which was a record label that we started back in 2012. We kind of eventually got to the point where we realized we needed to really fine tune exactly what it is we wanted to do and the impact we wanted to make in the music industry. And that led us to create the recording studio. So that's Launch Studios, located right here in Madison, Alabama. We also just recently opened a real estate investment company, Dominionaire Properties, where we ascertain properties, fix them, flip them, resell or rent properties. I'm trying to think of everything that we do. That there's a lot that we have going on. I am the CEO and the founder of Dominionaire Wealth Empowerment Center. My husband is the co-founder of that along with me. So where we teach investment strategies from Forex, the stock market, cryptocurrency, all of those things that seem really taboo in our communities. We teach them and we make them to where you can easily understand them and then utilize them to bridge this wealth gap. I believe that's
wow. Hey, I tell you what, you said a mouthful in just doggone 35 seconds. I'm telling you, I don't know about the viewers, but I'm so excited because I got so many questions. So let's start off with the recording studio and the record label thing. Okay. As long as I've been living here in this city, and I'm not from here, but I did not know that there was a need or a preface to have a recording studio here in the Huntsville area. Talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, do you get a lot of people coming to the studio, or is it like, hey, we're overbooked? How is that?
Well, we do. We get a ton of people coming to the studio, and quite often we are overbooked. We have those staples, certain artists that are staples that have become like family to us. They come to our Christmas parties, any events that we have for our family, kids' birthday parties. They really become like family to us. And then we recently had a huge influx of new artists who we did not even know existed in this community. And to address what you said about not knowing that there was a need for it, you really would be surprised actually about how dire that need really is. When we first launched out the recording studio itself and branched from the record label, that's when we really saw the need for a place for people to actually get quality recordings and not feel like they have to drive to Nashville or Atlanta or to muscle shows. And in reality, just to kind of shout out some of the other studios that are here, we're not the only studio here. There are, from what I can think of off the top of my head, there are at least 5 other great quality recording studios right here. And I'm pretty sure that all of us stay booked, and there are artists that we may have never even met. Even though we stay completely booked, I'm sure there are a ton of artists that we've never met, we've never encountered. And that just goes to show that there are so many artists and songwriters here that have amazing stories to tell. And they are now at a point to where they're ready for the world to hear those stories.
Wow. That is makes so, I know before, we went live, when we was kind of dabbling and talked a little bit, I guess your husband was the one who really was gotten into the music. He started that drive of the music, from the military. Like, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, for the recording studio, I'm literally a tag along with that. I'm the behind the scenes person. I'm the about the business person, the collecting of the money and the making sure the schedule is set. He is literally the brainchild behind the artistic creativity that comes out of this studio, from the production standpoint to the engineering. I have to say that is 100% my husband. He's awesome at what he does. He first got the bug when he was like 11 or 12 years old, when his family first went to a Pentecostal church for the first time, and he heard the music and he was so fascinated by it. And if you ever get a chance to talk to him, he'll definitely tell you this story, and it's gonna be a little bit longer than what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put it in a nutshell today. But he was bit by that bug, and his parents got him a small little rinky-dink keyboard, and he was beating on their pots and pans, and he graduated from that to being the minister of music of the church that we grew up in. And then from there we moved to Germany. And in Germany, while we were stationed in Germany, he was the minister of music for the church that we were a part of there. Then when he deployed to Iraq, he was the minister of music for the chapel in Iraq. And also while there, he and a few of his fellow soldiers, they were really going through, I don't know, if you ever know what it feels like to really be deployed and to be away from your family. There's a lot that soldiers tend to hold in. And one of the soldiers ordered a mixing board and say, hey guys, this is how we can get all of this off of our chest. Everything that you're thinking, let's just write it out, and we're going to put a beat to it, and we're just going to record it. And when they did that, he realized that he loved it. And I remember him sending the first song back home to me and saying, hey, baby girl, this is what we did. And I was like, oh, that's okay. And he was like, I'm just starting out. And he was so excited about it. So I bought that exact same keyboard, that exact same mixing board for him. So when he came back, they got back like right after Father's Day. And so the Father's Day gift that he received that year was that exact same mixing board that he was using when they were downrange. And he's been at it ever since.
Wow, that is awesome. You almost made me think I got the wrong guest here tonight. I might even get Mr. Carter on this show right now. You have to do a special with him. So all right, so he's the brainchild of the recording studio.
Yes.
And you're the brainchild of the Dominion Wealth Empowerment, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about that.
So Dominion Wealth Empowerment Center is basically where we teach all things financial literacy and investment education. We have courses on credit worthiness, but we really specialize in investments. However, we believe that you first got to get the basics down. You need to know how to budget. You need to know the importance of savings. Mm-hmm. Some of my students think that, oh, coach, you don't really like savings. Not that I don't like savings. I believe savings are absolutely important. I believe you have to save with a purpose. You have to know why you're saving. And then in order for your money to grow the way you want it to grow, you have to also invest, because savings is not going to make you rich. It's just not going to. Savings is not going to help build bridge that wealth gap that we see that is very wide. And as far as it's the widest actually when it comes to African Americans and females with right. Any other gender and any other race. That gap is very wide. And so we are dedicated to bridging that wealth gap. And we do that at Dominion Wealth Empowerment Center. We teach, like I said, Forex, stock market, cryptocurrency, all things investing, from what is investing to how can I become an expert investor.
So I gotta ask, how did you become so knowledgeable in dealing with finances and investing like this?
Well, when I first left the military, I remember I was sitting home for a while, taking a small break, and I was talking to my husband, and he was like, I think it's time for me to transition out of the military. And we are a partnership in everything we do. We don't do anything 50-50. Sometimes I have 70, he got 30. Sometimes I got 30, he got 70. And so at that time, I was like, okay, babe, if that's what you feel God is leading you to do, then I'm going to apply for a job on the Arsenal, and we're going to see what this goes. So I
Mhm.
applied for a job to be an executive administrator because I had a background in human resources as a soldier. And so I was there for about 6 months, and my supervisor approached me and said, you seem to be really bored. First of all, you're the best secretary I've ever had, and you get your work done so fast. I'm just making up stuff for you to do at this point. How do you feel about becoming a budget analyst? And I was like, ooh, I don't like numbers. I like letters and words and writing and speaking. Like, I don't like numbers. And so he was like, yeah, it's unlimited promotion potential in that. And I was like, you know what? Sign me up. And so they literally put me on a path to where I was able to get picked up for a Department of the Army intern position where the federal government, while I was working toward my bachelor's, they sent me to take master's level courses to be able to become a full-fledged budget analyst. So for 2 years, I simultaneously finished my bachelor's degree while also completing master's levels work in order to be a budget analyst for the federal government. And after working that job for about 4 or 5 years, I gave birth. I was in the process of, I was pregnant actually with my youngest son. And at that time we were kind of in that transitional moment again, to where I now felt like it was time for me to come off my job and to kind of stay home. I just wasn't happy with with the job. I love the people that I work with, but I just didn't feel fulfilled because I was spending so much time working that every time my kid had something, it was like daddy was there to pick her up for dance, drop her off, pick her up. Anytime she had a competition, she knew daddy was going to be there, but she wasn't quite sure if mommy was going to be there. And I didn't like that. And then I'm like, here we are now, 3 kids in, we can't continue this. I want our kids to know that they can have both parents there. And so I was like, okay, God, I need something, because by the end of this year, I want to be off of this job. And lo and behold, a friend of mine said, hey, I have a slot for 10 people to learn how to trade Forex. I had never heard of that before in my life. I knew about stocks and cryptocurrency and all that, but I had never heard of Forex. And I said, okay, I'm going to take this chance, because I'm going to take this risk. Because if you know anything about investing involves risk, and you have to be willing to take that risk. It's not like savings. You put that money in a savings account, it's going to be there when you come back with a little bit of interest. But with investing, in order to get that return that you're looking for, you got to be willing to take the risk. And so I took the risk because, number one, I trusted the young lady who was teaching the class, and I knew that I could learn anything. Nobody could tell me, I could learn whatever I put my mind to. And so I said, if I'm going to be successful, if I'm not going to be successful at this, I will be the only reason that I won't be. So let's go ahead and do it. I did it, and literally December of that same year, I was able to put in my letter of resignation, and I resigned as a budget analyst for the federal government. And then about 8 months later, I was opening Coach Carter LLC, which was a holistic coaching company where I have a degree in psychology. And then all of my, so I opened Coach Carter LLC for that. And I was referring all of my clients who were having financial issues to my coach. But then it turned out that I had built this rapport with people, and they were very comfortable with me knowing their personal lives. And, so to bring their finances into that, it was just easier for them because they already knew me. And so I began to offer the financial aspect of our business as well, not knowing that this thing will blow up full stream into a wealth empowerment center from what started out as a life coaching company. And so now here we are today, 3 years later. Well, actually, no, I've lost track. 5 years later, as a full-fledged wealth empowerment center, teaching budgeting, like I said, investing, savings, credit worthiness, helping and really being able to look at my students and see them go from, many of them knowing absolutely nothing about investing. I was so shocked that people was like, okay, I've heard the term investing, but what exactly is it? There's so many of our people that are absolutely clueless. And I said, okay, God, this is where you're having me for this season and this time. And so I'm going to pour all of me into that as best as I can in order to help your people to become financial literate so that we can make the right financial decisions. So we're not overpaying for credit. Because when you're not financially literate, you'll overpay for credit. You'll listen.
Right.
That's the main thing, and you won't have money set aside so that if something were to happen, you could live for the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months without actually needing a job. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, and we want that to stop. We want that if something happens and you have to walk away from your job, you have another skill set that will make sure that your family is financially taken care of.
Wow. I'll tell you what. Hey, folks, those who are watching, if you're just tuning in, take time to share this broadcast with others, because I'm telling you, the information that Coach Carter, Miss Jessica Carter, is putting out tonight, it is phenomenal. I mean, and it's going to be some good stuff. So let's go back to the investment class for the empowerment. You talked about wanting to educate us. You talked about wanting us to not have to worry about our future. What is it like for the minority community when they're in your class? You know, are they overwhelming in there, or do you have to really say, wow, you know, I really got to do the basics because we really don't understand this?
Yes, absolutely. We start with the basics. And when I first started teaching, I was so excited about giving everybody all this information that was working for my family that I was pouring out a whole lot, but I was pouring it from an advanced level with where I was and not really coming down to the level of my students. And I was seeing some of them still needing their hands to be carried for a lot longer than I felt like they should have been. So I began to say, what is it that I'm missing that's causing them to kind of be stagnant? And it was like, go back to the basics. And the basics for a lot of my students that I've learned, especially those who look like you and I, is getting to their money mindset, understanding their relationship with money. A lot of the students that came in didn't even understand their relationship with money. They didn't know why they were spending money every time they got money, or they felt like there were some that felt like when I get money, I can't do anything with it. I got to hold on to it and hold it for a rainy day. I can't put my money at risk because what if something happens and then the money is not there? And now I feel like I risked my money on this investment, but I don't have anything to show for it. And they were really afraid. And most of them were afraid because they didn't grow up with much. And when you don't grow up with much, you develop this thing of, when I get it, I got to hold on to it, because if I don't, then I don't want somebody to come and take it. I also noticed that students would come in, and when I would share with them what you could make doing what I do on a regular basis, it was, well, isn't the IRS going to take all of it? And I said, you know what? The only people who really worry about the IRS are poor people, poor and the lower middle class, because those of us that are in a certain tax bracket and making certain money with a certain mindset, we understand that Uncle Sam is going to want money, but we also understand that they can't get a whole lot of it if we continue to invest that money into helping our communities to become better. So that's really what birthed forth the Millionaire Properties, the real estate investment company, is we decided to take some of that money we were making and to invest that money into real estate, which would allow us to buy properties, fix them up, and then to be able to put families in there without having to charge them an arm and a leg, because the rental rate right now is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
But and I know I said a mouthful then, but literally we really did have to answer your initial question again. We really did have to go back to the basics, and it was tackling their mindset with, what is your relationship with money, number one, and number two, what is basic investing?
It's so funny you mentioned that, and you talk about when you're with your students, the relationship with money. It's somewhat similar when I'm dealing with the teens and I'm doing financial literacy classes with them. I ask them, what is your first memory about money? What is the first thing that you know about money? And going back to what you said, for us adults, those of us who grew up, not as well to do, we do have that mindset. Once I get this money, I have to hold on to it because I'm going to lose it. How do you break that mindset of those individuals when you're trying to show them a way to double it, triple that money that they're holding on to for their life?
Well, one of the ways that we tackle trying to break that mindset is I love affirmations. I know it's something that people tend to overdo, but I love to let people know the power of their words and how your words definitely help to mold and shape your mind. How the more you say something, you begin to believe it. And so we start by tackling what are, like you said, what is your first memory of money? What is the first thing you heard your parents say about money? What is something you heard about money in your household over and over and over again? What is something that you say about money over and over and over again? And you realize that the things they say about money is very similar to the things that they heard growing up. There's a part of them that really wants to believe that it doesn't have to be that way, but there's another part of them that feels like, well, this is kind of all there's ever going to be, because this is what I learned growing up and this is all I see right now. And one of the things I try to tell them is, hey, I send out every Monday. I used to send out to my Millionaires Table student an affirmation, and I say, "Hey, this is our affirmation for the week. I need you to repeat it, journal about it, write about how this makes you feel, what you think about, and then I need you to read that journal entry out loud. How are you going to apply? How are you going to apply that money mantra to your life this week?" I give them something like, I have a t-shirt that says I'm a wealth magnet. Tell yourself that you deserve wealth, you attract wealth. But in order for you to attract wealth, you have to put yourself in a position in order for wealth to come to you, because wealth isn't going to come to someone who can't manage it. I heard someone say a while ago that money is attracted to those who know how to manage it. Money likes to be controlled. And if you can't control it, it's going to easily slip through your hand, and it's going to end up in the hand of someone who can control it. And that someone is going to continue to get it, and they're going to get it in abundance. And that is how wealth is built. They learn to control their money.
Right. Jana Peterson, she is the founder of Hustle Healthier. And we did a cohort together. And she did the mental health portion. And one of the things that she said the human brain does not know the difference between reality or imaginary.
Yes.
So if you are telling yourself, I am money, if you're telling yourself, I am wealth, if you're telling yourself, I am this, I'm this, your brain doesn't know that you're not. So you begin to feel that. Exactly. You begin to empower that. You begin to breathe that into you. You're speaking that into yourself. So that is a very, very good point that you brought up there. So we go from the military, record deals, we're got record studios going, and now we got the millionaire wealth and empowerment, and then we have the millionaire house investment, right?
Correct.
So how did, between all of that, how did pastoral come into y'all's life?
Oh, wow. It's funny because we've known since we were teenagers. Like I said before we came on the live, and I was talking to you a little bit, is that my husband and I, we met at church. We were preteens at the time. He may have been like 10. I don't know. We were preteens at the time. And we've been very involved in ministry since the time we were teenagers. I mean, when I say involved, I mean, like, we're not like, oh, we grew up in the church. Like, no, church literally became a part of who we were as teenagers. He was the minister of music. I worked the sound department because the usher board wasn't for me. The Lord had to mold and shape me into somebody who was pleasant when people walked into the church. So at that time, it wasn't me. But we gave everything we had to ministry, and we knew then that we were both called to minister the gospel. He knew that he was called to pastor. But we were like, we honestly saw so much in church that made us feel like, I could minister the gospel, and we can do all of this without necessarily being pastors. We don't have to have that title. And so we really ran away from that title for a while, simply because we did not like the examples that we had who carried that title. And one day we were sitting down, and we both just looked at each other and just started laughing, and we said, it's time. And it was like, we just can't run from that. And the Holy Spirit really said, if God is calling you to do something, you can't allow man and the poor example that man has set to make you be disobedient to God. and it hit us like a ton of bricks, both of us. And so we were at we've always, from the time we were teenagers, like I said, we've been in church, and every church that we've been a part of, because we moved around a lot, been in the military and things like that, God always brought us to a church that was in the process of beginning. So it was like we were apostolic in the building of phases of churches, where we were in that planting of helping to plant churches. And the last church that we were a part of, we were actually right here. And when it was time for us to leave, we were like, we kind of don't want to go, because it feels good to minister and do that and not have the responsibility of being the pastor. But when we knew it was time, and we literally took 2 years where we sat at home and we went through our Bible from Genesis to Revelation, something that we thought, we had done over and over again. But this time we did it with the intent of, okay, God, whatever it is that's inside of us that is not like you, we turn that over to you, and we just say, cleanse us up, have your way, so that when we present ourselves to your people, or when you present us to your people, that we can be pastors that make other people want to walk in their call, that we are a great representation of who you are. We are a representation of your love and your kindness and your grace and your mercy to people, and that we're able to teach them not just from example, but we're able to teach them from revelation, because our ears are in tune to you. And in that, God gave us Chain Breakers International Ministries, where literally we feel that God is calling us to help to break the chains of religion off of the minds of people, so that they can have a relationship with God and not just come to church and do things that are out of routine, because we can get so caught up in the routine of church that we forget about the relationship with God.
Right. Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. Again, folks, those who are watching, please take time to share this information, share this broadcast, because Miss Carter is definitely someone that we all need to have hang on to. So, contacts. If for somebody who wants to get into the studios, into your recruiting studios, how do they do that?
Well, to get into the recording studio, you can visit us on the web at www.launch-studios.com, and you can click on the book tab, and there's our calendar. You can make your deposit. If you want to do a consultation where you want to come in and just sit, then you can call our phone number 256-206-02223, and we will schedule a consultation where you can come in, walk through the studio, get comfortable, and then make a decision on whether or not you feel like this is the place to help you to create your sound.
All right. And what about if someone wants to become part of the Wealth Empowerment class? What do they need to do?
If you would like to become a part of the Millionaire Wealth Empowerment Center, you can also visit us on the web at www.dsbf.online. Again, that's www.delta Sierra Bravo Foxtrot.online. And all of our classes are outlined there for you to sign up. If you want to contact us before you sign up and you want to have a talk, there's a mailing list that you can sign up for. You sign up for that mailing list, and there's an area for you to annotate any additional thoughts that you have. You can, in that small block, say, I would like to schedule a consultation with Coach Carter to discuss my financial future. All
right. And now, with the Millionaire Wealth Empowerment Investment, how does that actually work? Do y'all, how do you get someone from the LMI community into one of your homes?
Well, as of right now, we have homes only in the state of Florida right now. We are branching into Alabama. We decided to buy property that was close to a family member of mine that could do the legwork of managing the property for us, because we're so busy with everything else. But in 2024, we're going to purchase some properties here in the Madison-Huntsville area. And when those properties go up for sale, we will definitely have our on-site realtor that you'll be able to reach out to.
So, and speaking of which, you talked about having your on-site realtor. Did you yourself or your husband ever thought about taking your real estate license test so that you can manage your own properties as well?
I did. And actually, I'm thinking about it now. However, even though she's encouraging me to do it, I have a student her name is Javis Kincaid. She is a realtor, and I do believe in keeping everything in house with people that I can trust. So the moment that we kick that off, we would definitely like to be able to bring her in to manage that, because it would allow me to be able to be the CEO of all the other things that we have going on. One thing that I've learned here over the last 12 years of doing business is that you cannot do everything yourself. You will become burnt out, you will become overwhelmed, and you may not be very friendly with your customer base because you're burnt out. And so I would much rather be, and I also want to put people who are already well versed in those areas, in those positions, so that we can spread the wealth, because there's enough money out here for all of us.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. So what's next for you guys? What's next for the Carters? I mean, you done named off almost 13 businesses and affiliates and all that. What is next for you guys?
Well, we said we're not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we're going to give you guys the exclusive. We are currently working on a summit for next year called the Generation Summit, and that summit is basically a wealth empowerment summit, as well as a summit. Oh, Javis, I love you. I see you there. I'm sorry. I just saw her pop up. We're working on the Wealth Empowerment Summit here in Huntsville, Alabama, where we're going to bring in speakers from various areas of expertise as it pertains to the music industry, the entertainment industry as a whole. We're going to bring in people that are going to be able to help you to build your trust. If you don't have a trust or a will in those things, we're going to have somebody on site that's going to be able to not just talk to you about the importance of doing it, but they're going to be able to help you get started. This particular summit is not going to be one of those, hey, there's such great information. No, we want you to leave with actionable steps on how you can literally redefine your wealth.
You know what? I tell you what, that is so important. And it's even more so important to be able to see it come from someone who looks like you or me, because the amount of our people who's not educated on wills and trust is astronomical. And we need to get more educated on that. We need to know more about taxes and learn how to make the taxes work for us instead of, going against us. That we need to learn more about businesses and how we run our businesses the right way, instead of just saying, hey, I got a business and this is what I'm doing like this, because the more that we know, the more we can grow together. And I firmly believe in that. And I think, the more that we can see us doing it, someone could say, well, wow, if she was in the military, I was in the military. If, she was pregnant, I was pregnant. If they came from low income area, I came from. So they're now here. That's inspiration that maybe I can do this too. It isn't just it was gifted to them and somebody handed them all of this stuff. Because one of the things I always tell all my entrepreneurs in class when they're doing things, I say, understand something. In life, this is always going to ring true. No one never sees where you come from. They only see where you're at. Exactly. They don't see that struggle. They don't see those late nights. They don't see those 15-hour days. They don't see any of that. Only thing they see is your office building. They only see the cars you're driving. They only see the house you live in now, the clothes you're wearing. They don't know what you had to do to get there to be able to live the life that you're living right now. And that's the sacrifice that they're putting in right now and what they're doing right now. And even though it may seem hard to them, but as long as they're putting that sacrifice in right now, it's going to pay off for them in the end. So you are 100% correct. And I think that is awesome, because we need that. We need that. The community needs that. Huntsville needs that. Madison needs that. Just generally across the board in our country, we need that. We need more entrepreneurs like yourself and your husband to look up to realize, wow, they're not rappers. They're not football players. They're not basketball stars. They're not doing any of these things that's going to bring in these multi-million dollars. These are everyday people who's doing it the right way. They're just putting in the time. They're putting in that effort. They're putting in that sweat to make it happen. And if they can do it, so can you. That is awesome.
It's so funny what you said about how people look at you and they don't really see your background or your history or your story. And because we're not from here, most people don't know us. All they know is the us that they see here. And so there's this assumption that, you guys have this, you have that, you have the home, you have the da da da. And it's like, this didn't come free. We worked really hard to get, we work really hard to get what we have. We have a ton of faith. We believe when God tells us that we can have something, we believe that faith without works is dead. So we go after it, what God has promised us that we're going to have, and we put that work in. And I remember my husband having an artist out here one day, and it became like a whole counseling session where I ended up coming out, and it was like, I really want what you guys have. Like, I just want my spouse to understand my love for music, the same way that you understand James. Because sometimes he'll be out here until like, because his studio, he'll be in the studio until like 2 in the morning. And they're like, my wife would be going crazy right now. And I'm like, trust me, in the beginning, so was his wife. So was his wife. But it was a process for us to get to this point to where, I had to see the passion that he had for this, because like I told you in the beginning, the music, the studio, that wasn't my thing, that was his thing. But I had to support his things just as much as I wanted him to support my thing. And that took me, releasing some selfishness that I didn't even know was there. And so it took us growing to a certain point. And so we're like, okay, if you want, let us sit down and tell you a couple of stories. And they're like, whoa, like y'all went through that? We're like, yes. Like, you don't just get married one day and this happens. This is a 20+ year relationship, a 17-year marriage of two people who, grew up together and got married young when everybody said, don't get married young. And we grew together.
Right.
Through some tumultuous times, but we stuck it out. You got to have the tenacity, and you got to be able to stick it out. And then you can ultimately get those things that you're looking at and saying, oh, I want that. But you can't just say, oh, I want that, and think that it's just going to magically happen for you. That's not how it happened. It takes work. And that's one thing I tell my students. If you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, I am not your coach. I'm going to put you to work. Some of my students are on the live stream, as I can see they're commenting right now. I'm going to fuss at you. I'm going to check on you. Hey, have you seen any charts? Have you done this? Like, because I need you to understand that the investment goes beyond just the money. You got to be willing to invest the time. You got to be willing to invest the effort into getting the outcome that you desire.
Right. Outstanding. I do have a question. And when you was talking about investments and something, you mentioned Bitcoin. Can you give a brief explanation to the viewers and to Charles, who's ignorant to it and don't understand exactly what are we talking about here?
Okay, so it's funny because you said Bitcoin and I mentioned cryptocurrency, which is so funny because every time we mention cryptocurrency, that mind automatically goes to Bitcoin. There are so many different cryptocurrencies that are out there that people are able to invest in without necessarily taking on the risk that is currently associated with Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. In order to really invest in Bitcoin right now, the initial investment is quite heavy at this point. I want to say Bitcoin right now is like $42,000 a coin if you're looking to get one Bitcoin. But there are other cryptocurrencies out there that will be just as profitable as Bitcoin. However, just like I said, you got to put in work. You got to also wait for the time to come. So investment also involves timing. So when you invest in cryptocurrencies or this digital currency that we talk about, you got to wait for the time to pass. You can't follow every fad on the internet that says buy this coin, buy that coin. You really need to have an understanding of what these coins are. Every cryptocurrency has a white paper associated with it that outlines exactly how that coin derived, who created the coin, what projects are associated with that coin. If there's a coin out there that does not have a project associated with it, I'm not giving financial advice. Let me say that this is not financial advice. However, I would not personally purchase a cryptocurrency that does not have a white paper that specifies any projects that are associated with that coin, because what that lets me know is that this is sort of at this moment a fly by night. There isn't a plan for this in the future. So because there isn't a plan for growth, that means that me buying it, there isn't really a plan for you to grow my money. You really just want me to buy it so that I can grow your pocket so one day you can dump all of it. And that's one of the things that a lot of people are falling prey to right now when it comes to cryptocurrency, is that they're buying every coin that's out there that someone says, hey, buy this, buy that, without a full understanding of it. And I know your question was, what exactly is it? There's a lot to explain with that because every coin is different. But in a nutshell, cryptocurrency is digital currency that you may or may not convert to fiat currency, and a fiat currency is just a currency that's associated with a particular country, like the U.S. dollar, and it's backed by a security. The U.S. dollar, the Japanese yen, the euro, the Great Britain pound, those types of things. Those are fiat currencies. Cryptocurrency is different in that it is digital and it is not managed by any one country. Your fiat currencies are managed by the country that it's associated with and its central bank. No central bank on cryptocurrency. So for a lot of people, they are afraid because they feel like there's not a lot of overwatch when it comes to that. But then there are others who like the fact that there's not a lot of overwatch on it because they can control the movements of their money a little bit better. It literally would take a full class to teach the ins and outs of cryptocurrency.
Well, we're not going to get into a full class tonight, Coach. We're not going to do that tonight. But you mentioned something. I know you said you got some students who are watching tonight, who's watching this live. What do you say to them when they come to you? They says, Coach, I was on TikTok and they said this, and that. How do you combat something like that?
We discuss it though. If they say, hey, I was on TikTok and I saw this, we literally will go in together and we will all research it. I don't turn it away. Hey, let's research it. Then these are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Again, what projects is it going to fund? Wow. Who created it? What's the background of the creator? In those white papers, it has all of that information. What research have you personally done about it, concerning it? Have you looked up the charts to see what the numbers actually look like? You know, the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows of it. And so we go over all of that together. I have students right now who even, talk to me about stock market. Hey, Coach, do you have this stock in your portfolio? And I'm like, hey, I haven't even really looked at that. Let's research it right now. First of all, tell me what you know about it. Outside of what TikTok is saying, what do you personally know about this stock? What have you researched concerning that stock or that cryptocurrency to make you interested in purchasing? If your only answer is, well, TikTok says it's a good buy. No, we're not going to do that because we're going to be responsible and we're going to be literate and educated in our investments. Because one thing is for sure, if you buy something and it flops, if you're buying it on the word of someone else, you're not going to understand why it flopped. But if you did thorough research on this thing and it doesn't turn out the way that you anticipated that it would, you at least have something to go back to say, okay, well, maybe there were holes in this idea, that idea. Okay. It was meant to fund this particular project, but then on this side, the company that this project was for, that company faltered. Because that company's faltered, it created a ripple so that this project could now not be attached to this currency. You would know that if you actually researched it, as opposed to just listening to what someone else say. Even me as your coach, I don't get on. They know I don't get on and say, hey, buy this, buy that. No. You, as much as I love that they trust me, you need to always research, and like they told us in the military, check the checker.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Check the checker. You are 100% correct on that. Hey, that is outstanding. That is outstanding. Hey, Coach, I tell you what, you have really, really been inspirational tonight, not only for us here at Seeing Out Solutions, but hopefully for those who are viewing this broadcast, who is watching this broadcast. Please share it, put her information out there so that others may know. Maybe you might need to get someone signed up for one of her classes for Christmas present. Maybe someone who's into music and they need to get into a studio like this. Maybe somebody who just needs a little bit of mental health healing. She's got it all, folks. I mean, she is one package wrapped into one, and I've only known her for I don't know, about 6 months now?
Yes, about 6 months now.
About 6 months. And I tell you what, every time I talk to her, I learn more about her. She's got so much going on with her, and I think it's awesome. We're definitely going to have to schedule to get Mr. Carter on here because I know he's got a story to tell about this music. I'm eager to hear. I'm eager to hear his side of it because I know you probably wasn't giving him as much justice as he deserved. But I'm eager to hear his side of this story and how it happened and how he got involved with that. And in fact, I think right now he's also working is he director at U of H?
Oh, he's an adjunct professor for their music program at UAH. He was the former director of the Calhoun Community College program. But then he decided to really build up Launch Studios. And so after that small break, he decided to go back into education part-time. And so currently he is an adjunct professor with UAH music program.
Outstanding. I love it. I love it. I love it. Coach, thank you for sharing your time with us this evening. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us a wealth of information, like this. We love it. And we would definitely always welcome you back anytime like this. I'm looking forward to the stuff you let out the bag. You weren't supposed to tell anybody yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
See, my brand strategist is not on here.
we are definitely going to be in tune with that one there, right? Is there anything you would like to say to before we proceed to close?
I just want to say thank you for having me. This has been amazing. Every time I'm able to do one of these interviews, it literally lets me know, like, girl, you got a lot going on. And so, but I'm always grateful for it because I love reading the comments and people really being able to take in the information. And so thank you for this opportunity for me to be able to share my heart and to be able to share my gift with the world. Thank you.
Oh, definitely love it. Definitely love it. Folks, those who have been watching, again, share this broadcast with friends and family. Coach Carter, she's doing it all. And like I said, I know I'm going to take some of this information that I've learned tonight and I'm going to share with our community and make sure, because I do know some people who are singers. I do know some people who are looking to invest and just doesn't know how. And I'm going to see about getting them enrolled into our class. So I tell you what, it doesn't get no better than what she is doing for the community, what she's doing for business and her and her family. And I promise you all, we will get Mr. Carter on here. And he is going to talk about this music thing and how it all got started. So as always, remember, your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Good night.